Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show, sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings. I'm your host, David Lamb. Today we have Katie Cook on the show. She's a personal trainer and life coach that focuses on daily habit formation. And she also just happens to invest in property too. How are you doing, Katie?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us. I'm looking forward to this chat.
I am too, very much so. Now, I personally feel that your daily habits are what makes you who you are, really. And if you try to run your business or build a property empire for yourself and your family, there's nothing more important than keeping your mind and body healthy. You know, you're the main driver of your business. So if you're not at your peak, then how is your business gonna get to the heights that it should, basically? So if you're not at the top of your game health-wise, how's your business gonna perform? So with that said, let's delve into it. So I'm obsessed with personal development and improvement, and this obsession's really helped me, especially over the recent years. And I'm sure we'll get into all that. But first of all, I just want to go back to the beginning and ask, how did life start for Katie?
Well, I'm from Sunderland, born and bred. If you cut us in half, I'm red and white. I'm a Mackem through and through. I grew up in Sunderland, and I've always had a real love for health and fitness, and I think that came from my mum used to teach aerobics classes, like, the original Keep Fit classes.
How good was the original aerobics?
It was the best. Like, my memories of being a kid, because my mum and dad separated when I was 4, so I used to spend time with my mum or time with my dad, and my time spent with my mum was often sitting in the corner of her aerobics classes and just watching all of these ladies in their thong-back leotards doing the exercises. And like, just from being 4 years old, I absolutely loved it. I just loved everything about it, like what fitness gave people. I mean, back then it wasn't about losing weight and stuff. It was about being fit, socialising. Like, it was about the energy in the room.
Yeah.
And I just knew I was never going to do anything else other than that. And I think that's where the entrepreneurial stuff started as well, because I used to sit and watch my mum. She would be marketing her classes. Like, back in the day, it wasn't social media and stuff. She was putting leaflets through doors, and I was watching her take the money in the tin at the door of the church hall, and I would count the money and see how much she was making and stuff. And I was like, right, okay, I think this is going to be for me. And as soon as I was 16, I qualified as an instructor. And that was the start of me health and fitness business. I've never had a proper job. My grandma used to say it was, so when are you going to get a proper job, pet? And I was like, well, this kind of is the job. Started as a group fitness instructor because I was 16. Nobody would give us a chance in like a big health club or a big gym.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, okay, then we'll just do this on our own. We'll just do it like my mum did back in the day. We'll hire a venue, we'll market it as best we can. And like, even then, when I first started, there wasn't Instagram or Facebook. There was do you remember MySpace?
I do, yeah.
There was MySpace, I just text everyone on my phone, was like, please come to my class, please come and do my fitness class. And that's how it all started. And then I got into being a PT. And then once I'd been a PT for a while, I started to realise that actually health and fitness and nutrition isn't enough if you're really going to impact people's lives positively. You've got to have that next layer to you. You've got to look at how you actually coach people, how you look at people's mindset, how you help them in the other parts of their life, because you can come and see me once a week and we can talk about exercise and nutrition as much as you want, but if we're not looking at your life as a whole, we're always going to be limiting the amount of success you can achieve in all areas. So that's when I transitioned more from being a trainer and became a personal coach and did more than health and fitness.
So you're the full end-to-end service then, by the sounds of it, health and fitness, diet, etc., but then the life coaching as well. And I'm surprised there's not more people doing that, because it is, you know, they all go hand in hand, don't they? It's interesting that you were sort of, not a personal trainer per se from day one, but you were almost a personal trainer from day one, instructing classes, etc.
Yeah.
Because the personal trainers that I know have tried every other career in the world. They hit 28, 29 and think, oh shit, what am I going to be?
Yeah.
Let's be a personal trainer. So you've been in it from a very, very young age, instructing classes and getting involved in it from the age of 16. So that's brilliant, actually. That's great for you to have that background. So were you always ambitious? You mentioned on entrepreneurial traits there. Were you always massively ambitious?
Yeah. I just always felt like there was something more for us. Like, I've never had a 9-to-5 job. There was something about that made us want to run in the opposite direction. I just really couldn't bear the thought of somebody else telling us when I could start and when I could finish. That's always been in me, and I actually don't really know where that comes from, because both of my parents have had like quite traditional jobs. Nobody in my family's had their own business before. But the thought of that level of control over my life and having to ask for a holiday and all of that stuff, like, no, I just don't think this is for me. Like, I did a little brief stint of like part-time employment as a studio manager, like managing a group fitness timetable when I was about 19, 20. And even then I was like, but I'll have to do my own rota and I'll have to choose my hours, because I just couldn't bear the thought of feeling like boxed in and tied. There's just something about it that makes us feel ill. So
you're getting a sweat on as you talk about it.
I just can't think of anything worse. So I just always felt like there was something more, and I wanted to be in full control of how much money I earned, how I lived my life. I wanted more flexibility. And I always felt that where other people would see employment and a regular salary as a safety thing and a security thing, I always saw that as like a cap. Like so that's as much as you can earn. Yeah. That's as much as you can make in a month. But what if you could have more than that?
Yeah.
That's just always been my thought around it.
Yeah, me too. And it's strange, you know, you said your mum and dad had traditional jobs. So it's strange to think where that sort of thought process comes from. My dad had a small paint and decorating business. So even though it was his own business, it wasn't really a business. It was just, it was tiny and whatever. My mum did his books and stuff like that. But I felt the same. I always felt claustrophobic. And I did things differently to you. So I felt the same sort of feelings as you as regards having a 9-to-5 job and being told what to do. I always had a problem at school with authority. I always had a problem with being told what to do by teachers, probably why I didn't do very well at school. But my sort of tactic for getting away from that was to work for other people, but just chase the money and do jobs I hated, irrespective, because I just wanted the money to then leave. Whereas you, it sounds like you from day one said, right, I'm gonna drive my own vehicle type of thing. And so it's just two different ways of doing things, but it's obviously worked out very well for you.
Yeah, I love what I do, and I feel still now, like I'm 38 now, I was 16 when I started, I still feel really lucky that every morning I wake up and I've got lovely clients. Simon, my husband, always says, is there anybody you coach that isn't lovely, Kate? I'm like, no, everybody is lovely, everybody's nice, they're kind, and I just get to spend my day with like brilliant people.
Yeah. Well, that's worth more than money in a lot of ways, isn't it? So health and fitness wise, were you always sort of very conscious of health and fitness from your own body perspective? I mean, you obviously got involved in teaching other people very early, but did you always have an interest in it from a personal point of view?
Yeah, always. So when my mum used to teach her fitness classes, obviously I loved that. I used to join in at the back with me Barbie dolls and stuff, so I liked it from a young age. But as well as her classes, she used to be a competitive aerobics athlete, which is a thing.
Yeah, bloody hell.
So I don't know if you've ever seen, you probably haven't, people doing like formation aerobics, you know, jumping from the splits into a press up and everything being very like precise. And she used to compete and coach the team that competed.
Wow. So
I used to sit in her rehearsals as well. And I always wanted to be in the team. So that was my little physical goal for my kid. I never made it because at the time she said my press-ups were never good enough. But I always thought I want to be really physically fit and strong, because one day, if my mum's still doing this, she might pick me for the team. Time-wise, just the timeline never matched up, but that was always my goal. I wanted to be fit and I wanted to be strong. And then as I got a little bit older and where the fitness industry was, I think there was a big focus on aesthetics and wanting to look a certain way. And exercise for a brief time for me became about like how I looked on the outside. That's still important to us. I still want to be in good shape and feel good about my body. But as I've got a bit older, it's become more about like, okay, this is the body I've got now. How do I make it the fittest and strongest and healthiest that it can be, so that I have the longest, healthiest life that I can possibly have? Like, I'm really into fitness racing now. I enjoy that. And it's all about just seeing like what your body can do, how strong you can be and how fit you can be. It's like not just for now, but I don't want to be getting to me like 60s, 70s, 80s and not feeling fit and able to do things. I want a really long, healthy, happy life.
So is that the focus of your personal training business then? Is it for longevity? And obviously you must coach people of a host of different ages. Yeah. Is that the main focus when you take a class, you aim for longevity?
Yeah, most of my clients are like my age and older, and that is definitely their focus. Much like me, it hasn't always been their focus, but now it is, especially the people I coach who are business owners. They've got like banging jobs that like require a lot from them. They've really identified that if they take care of themselves, they look after their health, their fitness, their nutrition, they can perform better at work, they're more focused, they can grow their business more, they're just more on it. And they're using health and fitness as that vehicle to have that long, healthy, successful life.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I'm massively into it myself, and I've got many questions that I want to ask you that the listeners will be interested in, but I'm personally interested in it as well. So your training sort of from your life coaching side of the business is very much focused on habit formation from what I can see on your social media, etc. And I think since the release of the book recently, Atomic Habits, which everyone is obsessed with, it's actually become a habit of mine to actually read that book, ironically. I've read it 3 times. But so I guess, what are the main habits that people should focus on to produce their best performance within their property and business life?
There are quite a number of habits that'll help, but the foundation is really important. And there's a lot of stuff out there about your morning routine should have all of these things in it. It should have exercise, it should have meditation, there should be prepping your food, there should be practicing some gratitude, there should be making a list, reading a book, listening to audio. All of that stuff is fantastic, but there has to be a day one somewhere. There has to be one habit that enables those habits to be formed. So it's easy to look at all of the stuff that's out there, especially around morning routines, and think, I need to be doing that all from day one. And the reality is, for most people, that's just too much at the start. That can be the end goal. But initially, it's about finding that sort of anchoring habit. So for a lot of people, it will be just working out, what time do I need to get up to get the ball rolling on all of these things that are going to serve as well. So that could be the habit that you work on first. I'm going to start setting my alarm clock an hour early. I'm going to get up at 6, not 7, 5, not 6. And then that is giving you the time to be able to fit in a workout, read a book, plan your meals for the day and do all of that other stuff. But finding that sort of anchoring habit first is definitely the key. And then from there, you look at definitely a workout. I don't know anybody that doesn't feel good for doing morning exercise. It's the best. Some sort of self-development. Like, I always make sure that I do 15 minutes of listening or reading every morning. Hydration is key. And then, like, planning for the day, writing a to-do list, practicing, like people say, practicing gratitude, just writing down things that you're really grateful for. those things form like a good solid foundation for any successful person that I know, but it all has to start with, what's the first thing?
Yeah.
What's the thing that you can do that can enable and open the doors to all of that other stuff happening?
No, I totally agree with that. And that number one thing, the single thing that to do is, like you've just touched on, get up early, because if you don't create the extra time in your day, then you're not going to fit all the rest of it in anyway. And I think I agree, like I do all those number of things that you've just listed there, but before I started doing all of my morning routine stuff, if you just explained that to me, then it would be completely overwhelming. I'm like, God, I don't know how to show gratitude. I don't know how to meditate, hydration. I don't know much about that. But like you say, if you can just do one thing, and that, I think it has to be the getting up early. That 5am club, which I read 2 or 3 years ago, that made me move my get up time from 6 to 5 for that very reason. And it was 5 for ages. And then I realised, as I brought more and more into my morning routine, that 5 then changed to 4, because I worked out I needed an extra hour in the morning. And I've actually thought about getting up earlier than 4, but then I just think sleep is so important that it would be counterproductive. So yeah, completely agree with that. So on that then, how important are your daily habits and why? Because some successful people you look at online and in the media, or people you know personally, they don't sort of focus on morning routines, and maybe they do, they just do them subconsciously, I don't know. But in your eyes, how important are daily habits and why?
I think they're massively important. Like, if I think of the whole broad spectrum of clients that I coach, the people who you would look at and go, you know what, you're really winning at life. You've got it all sorted. Your work's under control. Your business is flying. You've got time to spend with your family. You know those people that you just look at and you go, yeah, you've made it. They all have a good, solid morning routine. And it helps with consistency. Like, the great thing about a morning routine is, where else have you got to be at 5am? There's nothing else that can get in your way. The day can throw whatever it wants to at you as you move through the day, but if you can start the day right with things that make you feel good, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to be a healthier person, you're going to be a fitter person, especially if there's a workout in there, which there definitely should be. You're just setting yourself up right. There's nothing worse than getting to the end of the day and feeling like, I wish I'd achieved that, or that got in my way, so I didn't manage to get that done. If you can get it done on the morning before like the day takes over and you end up fighting fires at work, or something is thrown at you, a bit of a curveball that you weren't expecting. Like, if you've got it done on the morning, it doesn't matter what comes your way, you're always going to get at the end of the day and feel like you've achieved something. And that feeling of achievement is like a snowball effect. You get it one day, you're like, oh, okay, this is great. You get it another day, even better. And then it just snowballs and it boosts your confidence no end.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I find, like this morning I trained legs, and it was a really, really hard session. I was in there an hour and 20 minutes with my mate who's bigger than me, which I think always helps. But I trained legs with him, and we absolutely smashed it. And it was so difficult to get through that hour and 20 minutes that I'm going into my day now thinking everything else is a bit easier. It's a strange concept, but I always say this, like, if you really do a really, really hard workout in the morning, really test yourself, really push your boundaries, the rest of your day just seems a whole lot easier, I think.
It's that sort of cliched saying of nobody regrets a workout.
Exactly.
Like, it's so true. Yeah. And whether it's a big workout like you've just done this morning, or whether it's like 30 minutes of Pilates or yoga, you're going to feel better for it. I do think it's also worth saying that it's easy for me to sit here and go, oh yeah, morning routines, amazing, and like, let's paint them as all like unicorns and rainbows. The reality is, not every person, even the most successful people, not every person wakes up every day like a 10 out of 10 motivated to do that. And that's totally normal. I say this to clients all the time. It would be weird if you woke up every morning and went, oh, I can't wait to do this gym workout. Can't wait to go and spring out of bed and drink my water. Not every day will be like that. But it's what you do on the days when you open your eyes and go, oh my God, I can't be bothered today.
Yeah.
Like, it's what you do on those days.
Of course it is.
Where it really counts. But if you scrolled on social media and searched morning routines, you'd see all of these people like living their best life 10 out of 10 every day. That's not the reality. So for anyone that's thinking about starting a good morning routine and looking at their habits, please don't expect that every day is going to be amazing. It's not. Yeah. Nobody wakes, even me, and I love everything about exercise and nutrition and everything. I don't wake up at 10 out of 10 every day.
No, me neither. And I love what I do on a daily basis. Absolutely love what I do career-wise. I love the life that I've got. But yeah, there's some mornings I wake up and I think, I just can't be arsed. Like, I really can't be arsed. It's cold, it's dark. I didn't sleep very well. I feel like crap. And that's just discipline, isn't it? And when you've been doing a habit long enough, you do it automatically. Even though you feel crap, you still get out of bed because it's an automatic response, isn't it? And that's where discipline comes in, I guess. So what is the best way to form a habit?
Start with one thing at a time. Start making it as easy as possible. Don't feel that you've got to dive in with both feet and have this big, huge habit and this big routine. Start just with something little and don't move on to the next one until you've nailed the first one. And then once you add the second one, don't move on to the third one until the second one feels like quite automated. There's loads of good apps out there where you can pop your daily habits in, but just start with one and make it something that you think's going to help open the door to future habits as well. Like the getting up time is the best example because that opens the door to time to do other things, but keep it as simple as possible. Yeah,
and it doesn't, we were talking about going from 6 to 5 and 5 to 4. It doesn't have to be an hour, does it? It could be, instead of 6, 5:45.
Yeah.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, type of thing, don't you? So yeah, I completely agree with that. And I guess if you have fallen away from your habits, which people do, we're not robots, we're humans. So, but if you just talked about nailing habits. If you feel like you've nailed it and you're 6 months in and you're getting up an hour earlier, and then something happens, you get a cold, you're off for a week, or one of your kids gets sick, etc. What's the best way of if you have sort of fallen away with your habits? What's the best way of jumping back on, type of thing?
Start again from scratch. I say this to clients all the time. Like, if you've had a big time of stress in your life or you've been ill and therefore your habits have suffered a little bit, don't try and pick up where you left off because it feels like a mountain to climb. Go back to habit 1. The first time you did habit 1, you might have spent 2 weeks getting that right. When you revisit habit 1, it might only take you a few days for that to cement itself again. So you move through the habits a little bit quicker, but always go back to the first one. Just work on like your get up time, or are you listening to your podcasts in the car, or are you doing your workout? Like, just pick one thing and rebuild them the same way you built them originally. Yeah. You'll probably just do it a little bit faster. Yeah,
I think just listening to you say that is probably the most difficult thing that people find, isn't it? Because they get so much momentum, so much rhythm in what they're doing, and then they have a setback. And then you do sort of, as humans, think, I'll just jump back on the horse. I'll just, I'll get to where I need to be within a day. But yeah, it's interesting that you say that, start from scratch. I think that's quite a difficult thing to get your head around, actually. But I think it is the only way, really. So some of the clients you work with, they must have 3 kids, they must have 2 businesses, they've got elderly parents that they need to run around, because there'll be people listening to this and think, it's all right for them too. But when you do have a busy life and you're spinning multiple plates, how's the best way of keeping your habits together?
I do this little exercise with clients, and I do this in group coaching and one-to-one, where I get them to write out what their day looks like, either half hour by half hour or hour by hour. So what time do you get up? How do you spend the first half hour of your day? How do you spend the second half hour? Like, it's a bit of a task, but it's one that's worth doing. So you end up with like a day in the life of you. And then together we'll work through and go, okay, do you need that part in there? How else could you spend that little bit of time? And we'll put little stars on the day where there's a little bit of time that could be freed up, or there's a habit that's currently in there that could change. Like, let's say on a night, it might say, okay, 9 o'clock, sit down with my partner and watch Netflix. Okay, that's really nice. Is there something else you could be doing while you're watching Netflix? It's not always about sacrificing something. Have you got a treadmill in the house? Could you get a treadmill in the house? And could you walk on the treadmill while you watch Netflix? Like, how can you buddy up some of the things that you do so you not feel like you're constantly sacrificing things? But that exercise of plotting your day is a really powerful one, because you sort of see it on people's faces as you're doing this exercise. They've sat down and gone, Kate, you know what? I haven't got time for anything. I can't fit anything in. Like, I'm so busy. And then it's like this mist of realisation comes down over them and goes, oh, actually, yeah, I've got some time in here and I maybe didn't realise it. The other thing is, alongside doing that exercise, getting your screen time up on your phone.
Yeah.
And
That's
then saying, okay, now tell us you haven't got time because you've spent 2 hours on social media a day. If you've got 2 hours for social media, you've got time for exercise, you've got time for a bit of meal prep, you've got time to listen to a podcast, like whatever it may be that makes you feel good. Believe me, you've got the time.
Yeah, and on that, even if you are addicted to social media, I guess you could have that two hours of social media scrolling while on a treadmill, couldn't you?
Yeah.
If you're just uphill walking or whatever, or watching your Netflix. It's like in Atomic Habits, he talks about that, doesn't he? And habit stacking. So there's one guy, his TV doesn't play unless he rigged it up so his TV didn't play unless the treadmill was going a certain speed. You know, obviously, that's extreme. I wouldn't expect people to do that. But it's interesting. It'd be an interesting exercise. Even for me, I think I've got my sort of 24-hour period down pat and I've got it well drilled. It would still be an interesting exercise to sit down with you and do it, because I bet there's other areas I could improve on in my day even. So, yeah, I bet it opens people's eyes when you sit down and do that.
It really does. Like, you literally see it come over their face. Oh, my goodness, yes.
I bet it's quite embarrassing, actually, in a way.
Yeah, it could be embarrassing. It could be quite empowering. Like, actually, wow, I've got 2 hours in my day that I thought I didn't have. Mm-hmm. Now think of the amazing things I can do with those 2 hours.
Yeah, totally agree. So is there one habit specifically that stands out from your experience of working with busy people? For business owners and highly productive people, is there one habit that stands out that you think, you know what, if I could advise one habit, I'd say nail this? Daily
exercise.
Right.
And that can be in two forms. So there's the exercise that we do that's non-structured and specific, which we usually track by your steps. So the walks we do, the movement we do around the house, just your general movement, and then there's your structured exercise. There are so many jobs now. It actually breaks my heart. There are so many jobs that are seated, laptop, desk-based. It's insane, and it's killing people's activity. Like, sitting is the new smoking. It's not good for our health. So daily movement, whether that's cleaning your house or doing some gardening or walking your dog, like just that general activity. And then also structured workouts as well, like having a proper plan. And people will think I'm biased when I say this because of what I do, but I honestly think everybody should have a coach. Everyone should have a program to follow. Like, you wouldn't try and fix a leak in your own house, like, without speaking to a plumber. You wouldn't cut your own hair. I've tried that before. It didn't turn out well. You wouldn't do all of those things. So why are you trying to do this thing that's really important on your own without any guidance, accountability? It's great that you've got the motivation to do it. Like, if you've got the motivation, then you might as well be doing the right thing. So I really think that everybody should have some help in that area. If you can nail that with your daily movement, what a difference that makes to your life.
I agree. And do you think there's the thing that holds people back is the cost? Do you think people think, oh, well, it's another cost? Because I always think this, and I think, well, what's the cost of poor health? And I'm sure that would probably be your answer as well.
Yeah. There are so many people that have come to me over the years on the back of something bad happening to them health-wise. And it's taken something bad to happen to them, like a health check or a health scare to really make them think, I need to sort myself out here. I need to get my body in better shape. I need to get my health in order. But it's taken them a scare to do that. And all of a sudden, they realise the value of having a coach, having a programme, being fit and healthy. So it's just a shame that sometimes it takes those big moments for people to realise that it's worth the investment, because it's a huge cost to you, to everyone around you, if you don't have your health anymore.
Well, there's nothing more important, is that you can have all the money in the world. I know it's an old adage. But you can have all the money in the world, can't you? But if you're sick, then what's the point?
Yeah. There are little signs all along the way. It's just whether or not you choose to listen to them before you get to that big moment, that big event, that big scare. There'll be little things that show up in your life, that you can't do things you used to be able to do. You can't run around after your kids without getting out of breath. There are little signs all the way through life on that journey down a negative health pathway. You've got to hear those. You've got to see those messages. Don't let it get to the point of, wow, this is a big thing that's happened to me and I'm going to have to take it in hand. See it as an investment in yourself to do something about it early doors rather than a cost.
Yeah. And I think, I think it's the whole, it won't happen to me sort of thinking, isn't it? And I think it's ingrained in us as humans to think, I'll be all right. But yeah, prevention is certainly better than cure. You touched on your sort of everyday movements, and you talked about cleaning your house. How important, or what is the ratio, that workout on a morning, an hour and a half that I've done this morning, hour and 20 minutes, whatever, the importance of that against the importance of general daily steps and movement? Are they as important as each other, or should I be focusing on more steps, more daily movement, and maybe just cut my workout down type of thing?
I think it depends what your starting point is. So if you're somebody that's desk-based and you're getting 2,000 steps a day, which is more common than people realise, that's where I'd be starting first. Because if you can go from 2 to 8, 10, 11,000 steps a day, that will already make a huge difference to your life.
Well, actually, just steps, just sedentary steps.
Steps. It's amazing the difference it makes to people, not just their physical health, their body composition, but also their mental health, their mental clarity, their focus. Huge. And for a lot of clients that I come across who are desk-based, that's where I start them off first. Say, right, let's just move more every day. And then let's look at building in some structured workouts. Let's layer it up. People think, steps, do your 10,000. It is important.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a gimmick, hasn't it? Because we're all wearing these watches now, and my mum, she's very focused on her steps, nothing else, and it's almost, you speak to people and they think, if I do 10,000 steps, I can drink 4 pints and have a pie.
No,
it's okay because I've hit my step. It's become this. We're overly focused on steps now, I think.
Yeah, it's a great thing to focus on. This 10,000 number is a bit of a like you say, I've done my 10,000, I can eat, drink and do whatever I want. 10,000 was just a government guideline. And also 10,000 might be too much for some people right now. If you're on 2,000, you're thinking, how on earth am I going to get a 10? So that's where habits come in and small goals. Okay, next week, every day I'm going to do 3,000 a day instead of 2 and build from there. The reality of it is it takes about 10 minutes to do 1,000 steps. If you walk on it a brisk pace, it's going to elevate your heart rate. Mm-hmm. We can all find several little pockets in the day of 10 minutes to go and do 1,000 steps. It can be done, but it's about breaking it down and thinking, how do I build from me 2 to me 3? And there is also this big misconception that you've got to go out for a massive walk. And for that, I need to find an hour where I can go for a walk. Do it as a snacking concept. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard the expression exercise snacking.
I haven't. No.
It's a bit of a buzz thing in the fitness industry at the minute. It's rather than doing a 60-minute session, whether that's a walk or a gym workout, do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, because it's all better than doing nothing.
Yeah. I think that's the main sort of basis of the conversation so far has been everything in your life break down into small pieces. It's less less likely to get overwhelmed, and just easier to handle, isn't it? Whether it's your diet or your fitness. So you touched on that sort of mind-body connection there, and obviously we're all well aware now that the two go hand in hand. You know, fitness boosts confidence, doesn't it? If you look good and feel good, you've got more energy. When you feel stronger and fit and healthier, you're more likely to believe in your own ability to succeed in other areas of your life. But then on the flip side of that, mindset boosts performance, doesn't it? So if you're mentally strong, you're better equipped to handling challenges in your workouts, like I did this morning, then you're more likely to perform at work. So yeah, just delve into that a bit further, that sort of mind-body connection and how important that is.
A strong mindset is really important. Often it can be interesting to come across people who are physically fit, but maybe not very confident and lack self-belief a little bit. A couple of techniques that I use with clients to help build confidence, mental strength, are positive self-talk and visualizations. So positive self-talk is something that originated in elite sport, where athletes would talk positively to themselves about how they were going to perform in, let's say, a 100-metre sprint. They would say positive things to themselves like, you will win, you are the best, like all of these bold, positive statements. But for us as like everyday people, there's no reason why we can't use those same concepts. It would be amazing if I could flick a switch for people and say, okay, now stop speaking negatively about yourself and only speak positively about yourself. Unfortunately, I haven't got the magic wand to be able to do that. But where I start with clients is I'll say, right, when you identify yourself and you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, then just think about how you can reframe that. So it might be you say the negative thing and then initially you follow it up with a but and something positive. So you're still saying the negative, but you're also coming back at yourself with a positive statement about yourself.
Balancing it out.
Yeah. Or you just totally reframe it. And sometimes it's a process. You go from negative comments about yourself only to negative but insert a positive.
I like that.
And then the next step on from that is just, okay, I've heard myself say something negative. I'm just going to completely reframe that and say it back to myself in a positive way. Yeah. And that can be externally, so what you say about yourself to other people out loud, and internally as well. And it needs to be a combination of the two to take you through that process from negative chat about yourself to positive.
I like that, yeah, sort of balancing things out, yeah, because you see people who promote affirmations, and I've done it myself in the past for a long time. I remember being sort of, when I first learned about affirmations, being 20, 21-year-old, being stood in front of a mirror, shouting at myself, you are this, I do have this. What's your view on affirmations in general and doing it that way?
I like affirmations and I'm here for it all, I am. But the reality of it is, and I'm working with real people every day, if I said to some of my clients in the first few weeks of working with them, okay, I want you to stand in the mirror when you get up, stand there in your underwear and shout at yourself, I am beautiful, I am the best, I am incredible. They'd say, Katie, jog on, I'm not doing that. It's like too much for people. It just becomes overwhelming. But if you can break it down and you can do those steps of just inserting the little positives here and there, catching yourself saying the negatives, that's really important. You know, eventually you probably will get to that point where you want to be like, I am the best. I'm going to do this. I'm capable of anything. But there's like a bit of a journey. It's a bit like you wouldn't go from standing still and doing no exercise to just straight away doing a marathon. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a bit of a process in between.
Do you think you ever get to the point, though, where the affirmation does actually become an ingrained belief through affirmation? Because I always find that when I was saying, like, I am this, I have this, I do this, my subconscious mind would always go, what are you on about? What are you lying for?
What are you lying for? Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think it's possible to ever get to the point where the affirmation does become ingrained in you, so it's an automated thought?
I think yes, through a long process of practicing. I think what is more likely to happen is that you just become better at dealing with negative chat and negative thoughts. I think you just become better at going, okay, I hear you, but this. So if I use myself as an example, I've done like event hosting and speaking and presenting for like many, many years now. I still get as nervous now to do a big event as I did 10 years ago. I'm just better at coping with the nerves. So 10 years ago, the nerves would have consumed us for a whole week running up to it. I would have thought about every possible thing that could have gone wrong, falling off the stage, the sound cutting out, like messing me words up, all of the things that could have gone wrong. Now, I still get that flutter of nerves. I still get like the sort of churning of your tummy. Like I know I'm nervous, like physically I can feel it, I'm nervous. But I can very quickly default to, but Katie, you're really good at this. You've been booked because they know you're good at this. You're the best at X. People like you because of Y. I'm very good now at just defaulting to the positive. It doesn't mean that the negative feeling goes away. I'm just better at dealing with it.
And is that where you are now in your journey? Is that automatic now? Is that you click into that support mode almost of yourself? Or do you still have to stop and go, hang on, Katie, and then switch your mindset? Or is it just automated for you now?
It's a bit more automated. Like I'll feel it. I'm doing an event tonight. I'll feel it tonight. I'll go, okay, I'm so nervous. But then straight away I'll go, but Katie, you're really good at this. Come on, let's go.
Brilliant. Love that. So on the mental side, affirmations, another big thing that I've started doing this year is journaling. And again, it all seemed a bit woo-woo for me. I'm a working class lad from Billingham, and I'm writing down my thoughts all of a sudden. And I found it difficult to stay disciplined, but then I've bought this journal, which has all of the categories mapped out for me. Your era, I think it's called, Your New Era or something it's called. They're quite popular. And because it's all mapped out for me, I just fill in the boxes. I find it very, very easy. But I have found it's got a to-do list in it, and there's only 12 points, so you have to limit your to-do list. Otherwise, you become overwhelmed with your day, I guess. But then it's got three things you're grateful for, 3 priorities for the day, 12 to-do list points, and then reflection, which is something I'm very poor at. On the night, you have to sit down and say, what are my wins today, and what did I learn today? Is journaling an important factor in your eyes?
I think so. For some people, it needs to be quite simple and not complex at all. And I've got clients who are really into it and they've gone all in and we've done loads of work on it. I think it's about choosing the bits initially that work for you because like most new habits, it probably feels quite, like you said, a bit like woo and a bit out there for a lot of people. But keeping it simple and then just building up, just like a habit, it can be really powerful for people. Like one of the things that a lot of my clients have used it for is flagging up relationships with food and stress and why did I do that? Or why did I make that decision? Why did I act like that? Why did I make that choice? That's something journaling something that's really helped with that. Mm-hmm. So if anybody feels like they've got a bit of maybe a stress response with food or their comfort eat or anything like that, journaling's pretty powerful for that. Mm-hmm. Just an opportunity to sit down and analyse. Exactly. Why did that happen? When that happens again, what can I do in the future to make things a little bit better? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially for males, I think because we find it a little bit, I'm generalising here massively, obviously, but for males, I think we find it very difficult to express feelings at times. I think just getting things on paper. Sometimes I've had worries and concerns and stresses in my life, and I've learnt to write them down on a sheet of paper, and just putting it on a bit of paper and visualising it objectively, I end up laughing at myself. I'm like, what the hell are you worried about that for? It's just amazing, the exercise of putting it on paper and just looking at it from an outsider. It just changes your mindset, I find, and I end up sitting there and laughing at myself.
Because everything feels different when you get it out of your head and out of your body. You know, that old saying of like a problem shared is a problem halved. It's so true. And what you said about males, without being like generalising too much, it is true. Like us girls, we'll open up, we'll speak quite freely to each other. Like, last night I had a really open and honest conversation with one of the mums at my daughter's football, who I hardly know, but like we talked about some really deep stuff. I don't even know her name, but that's a bit of a girl thing. Like, you know, you say something, I'll say something, we'll both then just go, right, let's unload together. I don't think guys do that as much.
Definitely not.
I think they're like more closed off, but actually writing it down could be the equivalent. Like, you don't have to speak it to someone. You can just put it down on a piece of paper.
I think it is. I think you're right. I think you've nailed it. It's the equivalent of having a friend and just sharing something that you may be scared to share, and there's no judgment obviously coming back from your notepad. So, but yeah, one thing I've always been poor at is the reflection at the end of the day, and that's something that it's brought in. So, I'm great at setting out my day ahead, but then what's the point if you're not going to look back and learn from everything that's happened?
Yeah, so you can't be that bad at reflecting because you've reflected that you're not very good at reflection.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. I'm probably better than I think, but you're your own worst critic, aren't you? So we've touched on loads of things there that sort of different pieces of the jigsaw that create the perfect day. And like we've both said, you're never going to have the perfect day, and you're never going to have the perfect month. There's always going to be crap days. But in your eyes, what is the ultimate goal with your morning routine? Do you think, if you could describe the perfect morning routine, take me through those steps?
Ideally, it would include some sort of physical movement, whether it's a walk, a run, a gym session. It would include some good hydration. So just having your water bottle
immediately.
Having your water bottle next to your bed. Even drink it before you get out of bed. Like, make life as easy as possible. Some sort of hydration. And then something around mindset, and everybody needs something different. Some people need like motivation, hardcore, come on, let's go and win the day. Some people need a bit of a strategic plan, like a to-do list and how they're going to execute that. Some people need to do the whole gratitude thing and write down some things that they're really grateful to have in their life and about their life. I think if you can hit those three, as in physical movement, hydration, and something on your mindset, then you really are winning.
Why is gratitude so important? It seems to be a new sort of phenomenon. Why is that so important?
I think the world we live in now is really, really different from, like, certainly from the world that I grew up in, and social media plays such a big part in this. I think there's this feeling that we should always be chasing the next thing. Now, listen, I'm all for goal setting and I'm all for going after what you want. But I think social media creates this thing of everybody else is doing really well and I need to be doing more, and it's all in the future, and there's just not enough looking back. Like, taking that time to just reflect on how well you've done to this point, the great things that you have in your life, the things that you're so lucky to have, is so powerful, because otherwise you always live it. If you're always looking at the future and what you haven't achieved yet, you're always living in like a state of underachievement, and that's not good for anybody, to constantly be feeling like, I'm underachieving. I haven't achieved that yet. They've done that. I haven't bought that house. They have. That's just like you creating a state of underachievement, and nobody thrives in that. So sitting down, being grateful and practicing gratitude and analysing where you're at now in your life and what's great about it, and looking back at how far you've come, puts you in a much positive state of mind.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree. And they say depression is looking back into the past, and anxiety is worrying about the future. And if you're always looking for the next big thing, even though it's framed positively because it's the next business venture, or it's the next property you're going to buy, your next relationship that you want to get into, because you're focusing on the future all the time, you're sort of almost forced in an anxious state, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like panic. It's like panic mode. I haven't done it yet. Time's running out. Somebody else my age has achieved that. I must do it. It's just not good for you. No. And sometimes you have just got to look back and be really proud of yourself at what you've done, and also just be really grateful for like the partner that you might have, or the kids, or the business, or your friends. All of those things are so important, like not always the material things.
Yeah, totally agree. So my morning routine, I want your judgment on my morning routine, because I know there's room for improvement.
Excuse me.
So I set myself up quite well. So I wake up at 4:15 actually. I say 4, it's not, it's 4:15. I drink apple cider vinegar,
Okay.
creatine,
Yeah.
Himalayan pink rock salt.
Wow, you've gone all in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glutamine and a touch of sugar-free cordial with hot water.
Yeah.
That's my first drink. So apparently it's good for the gut health.
Yes.
And obviously hydration with your salts. Because a lot of people think you drink loads of water and you get hydrated, but you'll know better than me. You need that salt, don't you, to hang on to the water. So I have that drink. Then I'll have a protein shake, a clear whey, because it's not very heavy on your stomach. Then I think this is where my negative. I drink enough caffeine to kill a small elephant between sort of the protein shake and the gym. So I'll have a coffee or two, and then I'll have pre-workout as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you on the ceiling at the gym?
No, I'm not.
Really?
Caffeine doesn't affect me in the same way it does a lot of people. It gets me going, but yeah, it's not. I should have said before. As I'm drinking my protein shake, I do my journaling for the day.
Yeah.
And then I read 3 pages of a book, whichever that may be, and then I drink the caffeine. Then I go to the gym for an hour and a half, come back, have something to eat, take the dog around the village, or dogs now, I've just got another one, shower, and then work. And then I'll work until I shower and go to bed.
Okay.
So I need judgment and where I can improve. I think I know a lot of things, but in your eyes?
I think it's so impressive that you've got a lot in there. And you're ticking a lot of boxes. There's exercise, there's hydration, there's mindset work. The coffee and the pre-workout is maybe a lot. But that said, if that feels like it works for you, and this is why I say to clients all the time, like, does that make you feel good? If it makes you feel good, keep the coffee. There's not really a right and a wrong, but I would look at yours and go, that's pretty textbook, as in you're ticking all the boxes, you've got a lot going on. I'm not sure there's anything I'd be inclined to change other than, wow, the caffeine's like...
Yeah.
The caffeine is high, but if it works for you, it works for you.
It does, and like you say, it doesn't affect me in a lot of ways. I know coffee and pre-workout would be a lot for some people, but you know, I never get a crash afterwards. I never feel like I'm on the ceiling afterwards. It's just and the pre-workout is one of the weaker ones, I have to say. It's not like fully loaded with caffeine, but there's still, you know, a good 200 milligrams in there. But I just feel good. I just feel energetic at that time in the morning. The only thing I probably need to put into that, which I've touched on, is getting home and not just working till I go to sleep, because a lot of the time I go to bed and my head's spinning. Yeah. I need sort of a break, maybe do some reflection work.
So it's maybe not your morning routine that needs work, it might be a nighttime. Definitely
needs work. Well, I haven't got one, to be honest. It depends what workload I've got on. My laptop's open.
Do you make much time for like friends, family?
No.
Okay.
No. On a weekend I do, but during the week, no. On a weekend I'm very family orientated, but yeah, during the week, no, there's very, very little time. But I love work, and work is my hobby, and I used to be a bit embarrassed about that, a bit ashamed of it, but now I'm not. I'm like, I've accepted it. Yeah. Work's my hobby.
I'm exactly the same. I love what I do, and I think when you do love it, like me and my husband, our property business that we have is together, and we can sit and talk about that until one of us falls asleep at night. Like, we like talking about our work, like not just the work we have together, but then our own respective businesses. I just love talking about it. And if that's what you're into and it makes you happy, then amazing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at peace with that now. I'm just like, I'm a workaholic.
I've lost friends over the years.
Oh, me too.
Through that. Oh, you're at work all the time, and then they just stop asking you to do stuff. And I get it, but I also know that they were really unhappy in their jobs that they had and in their careers, and couldn't understand why I loved mine so much.
Exactly.
So sometimes you've just got to own it.
Yeah, and I think if they found something that they were passionate about, they'd be the same probably. So aside from habit formation, let's step away from that now. What is your main advice for business people for performing at the best? If you've got your habits down pat, is there anything else that sort of stands out you'd say, focus on this?
Stress management is a big thing. It's massive. And I sometimes take this really to heart when I hear people tell us stories about like their employment and their jobs and how hard people are being pushed in their careers and their roles now. Like it makes me upset. Like I had a conversation with a client only this week about this excessive workload that she has. Like, wow, that's so full on. And I'm like, have you spoken to your boss about how this is making you feel and the impact it has on your life? She's like, yeah, I tried, but nothing back. She's working like a really long day, and then she's coming home, it was just having her tea, and then back on the laptop till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. This is not her own business. She doesn't love it. This is her employment. Her stress levels are through the roof. I can't change what her employer does with her and how she's treated at work and her workload. But I can put in place things that help her to manage her stress a little bit more. 5-minute meditations, scheduling in 2 walks a day, these small things help. And I get her nutrition on point, because bad nutrition places the stress on the body. Just as much stress management as possible. I find it actually shocking, some of the stories that I hear from people who are being like worked to the bone by their employers, and it's just so full on. You might not be able to change a lot about that in the right here and now. Like long term, you could, look for another job, look at setting up on your own, all of those things. But dealing with the right here and now, what are the little bits that you can put in to help you manage stress?
Yeah, that's a different type of stress, isn't it? When you run the business and you're captaining your own ship type of thing, it's stressful. But because there's so much love and passion for what you're doing that you don't care, do you? That's another type of stress, isn't it? When you're in employment and you're not doing a job you particularly care about, but the internal pressures from the people above you are so vast that you have to sort of perform. That must be, well, I've experienced it myself in the past a while ago now, but it's a different type of stress, that, isn't it?
If you're not enjoying it, that's the main difference. Like you talked about how you're happy to work all day and into the night because you love it. And I feel the same, and like we're so lucky to have that. But imagine having to work those hours and it's not your choice and you don't like the work and you're spending like the vast majority of your life in that situation. It just must be hell. So I think stress management, and that'll look different for everybody because people relieve their stress in different ways. For some people, it's the easy stuff, walks, meditations. For some people, it's like spa days at the weekend and that sort of thing. But finding the stress management techniques that work for you.
So that's great. So you've listed a few things there that are good for stress management. Your meditation, which I'm rubbish at. Wish I was really good. But your walks, etc. What are your tips for sort of quick, almost instant stress relief? If you just like you're just about to boil over, you've received an email that you're angry about or whatever, and you've got a lot on your plate. Have you got any tips for like sort of almost instantaneous stress relief?
Yeah, you'll think I've lost the plot though when I tell you. So I often say to people, put your favourite song on, get off your chair, change your body position, and let's change your energy. So put your favourite song on and just like jump around and dance. And for like 3.5 minutes to your favourite song, just let it all out.
Right.
And it just changes like your energetic state. You know, if you sat at your laptop and you're stressed, your shoulders are all up and hunched, you're like leaning over, like your body's like in a little ball of stress, your posture's poor, so you're probably not getting enough air into your body. If you stand up, just like shake your arms, shake your legs, do your best little dance routines to a song that makes you feel good, it changes your energy. Right. And then just ask yourself, okay, I've got this problem, what's the solution? The solution will come to you a lot easier if you're in a good place rather than like that hunched up little ball over your laptop. And it's easy to do. Anyone can do it.
Right, I'll try that. My staff probably think I'm absolutely mental.
If you're in an office, it'll be an interesting one. You might have to put your AirPods in.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Yeah, go to the toilets if you need to with your AirPods in and just let it all out.
Right, okay. You heard it here first. I'll give that a go then.
What would your song be?
I was just thinking about that as you were saying it. I don't know. I'm not interested in like one particular type of music. I like everything. So I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. Probably something sort of deep housey, type of thing. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'd need more time to think about that.
Do you want to know mine?
Yeah, go on then.
Baby by Justin Bieber.
Is it really?
Yeah, works every time.
Right, okay. I don't think that'll be mine.
Honestly, it works. It's worth a try.
Right, I don't think I've even heard that. Right, okay, I'll give that one a go then. So you touched on food and drink there, because we think of food and drink as being very important. Obviously, you are what you eat. Obviously, your nutrition is very important. But from a stress relief and stress management point of view, what is the best food and drinks to eat?
Hydrate yourself well. Water. You mentioned it earlier about like replacing your salts, electrolytes, and then whole foods. Good cuts of meat, fish, green vegetables, non-processed foods, all of the things that we know that are good for us, like moving away from all of the processed stuff, moving away from alcohol if you can, like too much caffeine, if the amount of caffeine you're having is stopping you from going to sleep on a night. All of the things that we all know work for us and serve our body well, but are not always the most convenient things to do. Like sometimes the easiest thing is like grab a meal deal, grab a Mackey's or whatever. But because we think, oh, we're stressed and I haven't got time to cook anything. But sometimes you just got to force yourself a little bit to, no, I'm actually just going to run in the shop and I'm going to get some chicken and some stir fry or something like that and make something that is going to tick the boxes of a good source of protein, some vegetables, some quality carbohydrates and some good fats.
It's a vicious circle almost, isn't it? Because if you're stressed, it generally means you're time poor because you're struggling to deal with whatever's in your day. So then you do reach for the quick and easy food source, don't you? Because you're hungry, but you don't have time. And so it's a vicious circle, isn't it? I totally agree with you. The stir fry with the vegetables and the chicken obviously would be great for stress management. However, you're stressed and you've got no time. So how do you sort of deal with that?
There are loads of things that can help, like make things more convenient. So meal prep, like most towns and cities now have a local meal prep company that can prep your meals for you. And sometimes it works out cheaper than going shopping because there's no wastage. It's just there. It's done for you. Things like HelloFresh, Gusto boxes that get delivered to your house. You haven't got to go shopping. Online shopping, like getting your groceries delivered. Just little hacks that make those things easier. And there's no shame in not being that person that's in every night chopping your own carrots, chopping your own potatoes, peeling everything. There's no shame in not being that person. Yeah. Like, if convenience makes your life better and it makes you less stressed and you've got more time, get the meal prep. It's like we'll talk about investing in yourself, in like your health and fitness. It's an investment in a positive outcome.
Of course it is, yeah, without a doubt, totally agree. So what is your view on alcohol in general from a stress relief perspective? Again, it's the easy, quick release. You know, you have a couple of drinks, you feel, don't you, after a stressful day. And in the UK, I think everybody drinks too much in general. What is your general view on alcohol and its effects on the body and the mind?
There are a few topics that I feel more passionate about than this one. Like, this to me is massive. It's a game changer. If you can massively reduce your alcohol consumption or eliminate it altogether, the changes that you see in your physical health, your appearance, your mental clarity, your focus, your confidence, your motivation, it's huge. I've seen it with myself. I haven't drank for years. I'm going to say, I remember having a can of gin and tonic when we finished our house renovation, which is about 5 years ago now, but I had a couple of little sips and I just put it down. Like the last time I got drunk was when my oldest child was only a few months old and she's 14 now.
Oh, wow.
So
it's a
long time.
Yeah.
And I honestly know that is a huge reason why I've been able to achieve many of the things that I have, because hangovers haven't slowed us down. I haven't got that toxic stuff running through my body. I'm up for my workouts. I think it's so important. I have a huge problem with like the culture in our country, especially up here in the northeast. Like, alcohol's part of everything. We christen a baby, let's all get drunk. Somebody gets married, let's all get drunk. We've had a bad day, let's get drunk. We've had a great day, let's get drunk. Alcohol's just a massive part of our culture, which makes it really difficult for people to move away from it. Mm-hmm. I have countless conversations with people like, oh, Katie, I'd love to give up drink. I'd love to not drink anymore. But how am I going to do it? How am I going to socialise? How am I going to celebrate? I can't see a way out of it. I don't want to do it, but I can't see another way. And it's just the culture.
Did you drink much before you stopped drinking? Before it sounds like your kids were a turning point. Did you drink a lot? Was it just on
I wasn't a
weekend?
big drinker, but like if there was a night out, I would have had a drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right that in the UK, I don't think there's another. Well, Australia, apart from Australia, I don't think there's another country that it's ingrained in your culture so much, and it's so difficult to tell people you're not drinking. I didn't drink for between 5 and 6 months last year, and I achieved so much. And then I started bringing it. I introduced it back into my life, but because I'd had that 6 months off, and I knew the benefits and how well I felt, the clarity of mind, etc. I was very conscious about how much I was drinking, so I'd only have 2 drinks. So I'd go out and I'd have 2 pints, and I was drunk, or a glass of wine, and I never got drunk. I haven't been drunk for years now, like really drunk, and now I've knocked it on the head again. Because I've just thought, what am I doing? What's the point in having a couple of drinks? It's not doing anything apart from it ruins your sleep. It heightens your cravings for crap food. It gives you brain fog. And I think as a nation or as humans, we're sort of starting to realise this now. That's one of the benefits of the internet, isn't it? But like you've just said, what does it actually give you?
Like nothing. Nothing. And people will say, about socialising and stuff, it is getting much more acceptable. I mean, not that it should have ever been an issue in the first place. I remember telling somebody when I was about 18, 19 that I just wasn't bothered about having a drink. And their response was actually, what's wrong with you? I was like, nothing's wrong with it. I just don't fancy it. Like, I'm at work tomorrow. Like, I was 19, I have a business to build here. I can't be hungover. And I remember just people looking at us going, like, freak, what's wrong with you?
It's the only drug in the world you have to explain to people why you're not taking.
Yeah.
Imagine being at a christening and someone says, do you want some heroin?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, you weirdo, why are you not having the heroin?
If somebody says, I've really knocked the drugs on the head, everybody goes, good for you. Yeah. Well done, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. As soon as somebody says, I'm not drinking anymore, is there something wrong with you? Yeah. People used to say to me, did you have a problem with it before? Like, no, I didn't. Yeah. I just realised it doesn't serve us in any way, shape or form. No. Well at all.
Doesn't, and I think a lot of people are realising. And I do think, and don't get me wrong, alcohol's been my friend in the past. It's helped me with social anxiety when I was younger, when I was a teen, 18, 19-year-old, when I went backpacking. It was great fun, etc. But the hangovers didn't bother me because I had nothing to do the next day apart from go and see a monument or climb a hill or whatever. But now I've literally sat down the last couple of years myself and like, what does it give me? And you can write a short list and then says, what does it take away? And it's a long list. And I do think we'll talk about alcohol as if we're talking about smoking.
Yeah.
In sort of 5 to 10 years' time, I really do.
There are a lot of people now that are what people call sober curious. Like, we want to know more. I really want to do it. I'm not yet sure how I'm going to navigate that, but I know this is the way I want to go. Like, my husband's just turned 40. He's always liked to drink. But he said, Katie, I just knew that when I got to 40, I just knew that was going to be it. Mm-hmm. Like, in the run-up to it, and, like, since he's turned 40, he had a drink on his 40th birthday, but his habits have totally changed. And he's like, I can't believe I waited till I was 40 to do this because I feel so good for it.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
But it should be a lot easier. But the social pressure around it, all the things you've listed there, that makes it very difficult. I understand why people do it. And, hopefully I'll stay away from it in the long term. But so, aside from health, fitness, nutrition, how important is your environment and the people you surround yourself with? Because people talk about diet. Your diet isn't just food and drink, is it? It's what you intake from social media, from the internet, and from the people around you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. There's that old saying, isn't there? You become the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so true. I touched on it earlier, but like I've lost friends, not in a big fallout way over the years because they weren't on the same page as me. That's not that their page was wrong and my page was right. We just wanted different things. Like being in that environment around them wasn't helping me level up to where I wanted to be. Like, so I had to like move on from my school friends and find new people to be around who were ambitious, wanted to do things, had a bit more of a positive outlook. And it was a game changer for me as soon as I started like hanging around and just spending time with, and I don't even mean like hanging around like going to a restaurant or going to a bar. I mean like I would go and spend my time at like business conferences and stuff because I wanted to get into speaking or I wanted to learn more. I'd be buzzing just sitting next to like strangers, but they were all into the same thing as me. So in the breaks you could have a bit of crack about like what people were up to, like network a little bit. And it just levels up your energy massively.
Infectious,
it's so
isn't it?
important, yeah. And it should always try, for me, being a combination of be around people who are kind of like at your level where you're at, who are like striving to do more. And then people who have done the things that you want to do, like try and spend time with those people as well. Yeah. It's so motivating and it keeps your motivation levels high, I think, rather than having that roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't yet found people like that, like my circle now is really small. Like I'm gonna tell you, my friends on one hand, like I know a lot of people, but like me true friends who you can have really good conversations with. It's quite small now, but it's quality. Mm-hmm. It's definitely quality.
Yeah,
over
I think that's
quantity.
the only thing about getting older, isn't it? Your friend circle does reduce in size, but the quality of it just massively increases.
Yeah, you know, you have people that are like your cheerleaders. Like if I do something good in my business, like my friends text me and go, buzzing for you, that's fantastic, and vice versa. Yeah.
I always advise people as well, spend time with people that have achieved what you want to achieve, but they're still relatable. So if I went, obviously, and sat with Elon Musk, who's a massively successful guy, I couldn't relate to him because he's just streets and worlds ahead of me in anything he's done. But I've got a business mentor now, and he's achieved everything I want to achieve, but he's still sort of very relatable to me, still lives in the area, still operating in the same circles as me. It's really, really inspiring. And I'm sure people experience that when they work with you as well.
Well, a coach can be a good transition into that. So a coach can help you navigate how to create new relationships and how to find new people. But a coach is then somebody who is also in your corner. So even if you haven't yet found your circle and you may be in a bit of a transition period of going from an environment that doesn't make you feel good to an environment that does, that coach is going to be the person in your corner who's going, yeah, go on, you can do this, and helping you find a plan as to how you're going to do it. Yeah.
And just to be a sounding board as well, sanity check. You know, I get ideas and thoughts all the time about my business. I fire them off to my mentor, and he sanity checks me, and it's good. It's great. Just keeps you on an even trail. But I know you're very interested in property, and you've got a good portfolio now. Sort of leaning into health and fitness things. Is there anything that stands out, health and fitness wise? Any specific advice you'd offer to property investors in particular?
I think having had the experience now of doing property, it can be quite stressful. I think my experience is it comes with huge peaks and troughs of stress. So there'll be like all the renovations and the tradies and everything, and going, is this ever going to come together? And then times of, isn't this great, just watching the Starling app ping on you on your phone, and you watch every time your rent drops. I think because there can be quite extreme highs and lows, just making sure that you get your habits consistent. So no matter what the stress levels are, whatever's going on, if you can just be consistent with those things that make you feel good, it's going to start to level off the highs and the lows, for sure, and just try and bring everything a little bit more in line, so you don't feel like you're on a constant roller coaster. So
it's almost all the madness that's going on out there, and all the highs and lows with your property and your business and your family, whatever. Just let that madness be madness, and then keep yourself consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Because
makes sense.
you're central to it all. Like if you're juggling all of these different parts of your business, like it all does come back to you. And if you aren't in like tip-top shape physically and mentally, how are you going to manage all of these things? I say it to clients all the time, like you as an individual are so important because people depend on you. Mm-hmm. How can you be the best version of yourself at work? How can you create the best version of your business, be the best partner, be the best parent? If you are not at your best, you can't care for others, you can't give your best if you're not in a good place.
Do you think then that being in good shape helps you make money? And I mean that from a real tangible sort of effect. If you walk into a meeting room to meet a potential new client and they see that you're in shape and you clearly got your shit together, that must have an effect on that potential client.
I definitely think there's something in that. Because to be in good shape, to be a fit and healthy individual, requires self-discipline. It shows a level of care and ownership of your own actions. If you can demonstrate those things personally for yourself, then surely those traits would be transferable into a business or a work setting. So maybe subliminally, you're telling people, yes, I'm self-disciplined, I work hard, I've got a good work ethic, I care about things, I take ownership of things that I can be responsible for. These are all great qualities that I could show you in other areas of life.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in your area of business, obviously, it's a direct, if I want to work with you and see you're in shape, you think, right, okay, that's her CV there. I want to be in that shape. But even in my business, sort of estate agency, property, I know your property business as well, I just think if I meet people and they're in shape and like you said, it shows they're disciplined, they take care of themselves, they've got the shit together, they've made sacrifices, they understand making sacrifices for the greater good type of thing.
They can be consistent.
Consistency, exactly. And I think, like you said, subliminally, I can't even say that, subconsciously, I think you do. You think, oh, if this girl or guy can look after himself or herself like that, they're going to look after my interests, be that property, be that physical training, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something in that. It's maybe not something I'd thought a lot about before, but it's kind of your first impression, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. So on the property stuff, what got you into property? Why property?
Oh, I always interested us. I fell into it at first. So both me and my husband, like when we met, both already had our own house that we lived in. Then he moved in with me. We rented his out. We bought a house together. We rented mine out. And we did that for like quite a long time. And we had our first child when we were quite young. So it took us a while to like establish our roots and things. And then we're always going to do this. We always wanted to do it. It was just finding like the right time, being in the right place. And then over the last few years, like we've gone for it much more. We brought those personal properties into the business, bought some more. And there was just something always that was like exciting about it. Yeah. And because I've never wanted to work 9 to 5, and I just want a different lifestyle. I wanted a lifestyle where I can go on holiday as much as I want and like have flexibility. And I'm self-employed, like it's a pension option as well. Mm-hmm. It just ticks all the boxes for us.
Yeah, like freedom creation.
Yeah.
So tell us about those first deals then. Where did you buy them?
Oh, they're all in Sunderland, of course.
Brilliant.
We just kind of buy the same sort of house, like 2-bedroom. We bought a 3-bedroom recently, but a 2-bedroom ex-council house.
And you add in value through renovations?
Yeah, adding value, like ripping everything out, putting it all back together, and then refinancing and using the money to buy the next one.
Yeah. Have you stuck to that all through yet? Because you've got seven properties now, haven't you? Which is brilliant. So have you stuck to that BRR model all the way through?
Yeah, all the way through. And it works for us. And I think that's what we'll continue doing. We've got a goal to get to 10 by the time I'm 40. So I've got a year and a half to do that. And
I'm sure you'll smash that.
We're on track to do it.
Yeah.
It's such an exciting it's just an exciting world. I love everything about it.
Yeah. And you'll get to 10 and you'll want another 10, I promise you.
Yeah.
It's addictive. You'll never stop. Why do you want to get to 10? Is there a certain... Getting to 10, is that just a nice round number, or will that create a certain element of freedom in your life?
And then that will be like, it's a nice number. And when I set goals, it's like, okay, 10 by X date. Like, it's got to be time limited. There's got to be a number so we can measure it. Have we achieved what we said it would achieve? And like, that's why it's 10 by 40. But I don't think we'll stop at 10.
No.
Like, 10 will be like total financial freedom. Like, we've always been really good with our outgoings, our personal outgoings. Like, I don't spend a lot. I don't have like a massive flashy house or anything like that. So that'll be full financial freedom. We can spend as much time in our favourite place as we want, which is Tenerife.
Right.
But I don't think we'll stop at 10. I think 10 is just the goal for now.
Yeah, I can tell just looking at your face, you're not going to stop at 10. So how much focus is on the property versus the business? Do you find it easy to juggle both?
Yeah, so my main focus is me coaching business, and I guess you would call the property me side hustle, but obviously the more you get and we manage them ourselves,
oh God,
it becomes a bit of a monster. But I think when we get a 10, we'll probably look at outsourcing the management. Like, we use a letting agent who's great in Sunderland to help us find tenants. But I think as we grow, we're going to have to look at using them or somebody else to manage everything.
It's the only way. I mean, you also say property's passive. The only way to get them as close to passive as possible is to use a letting agent, isn't it?
Yeah.
To manage them. So you don't want to be sat in Tenerife answering phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning about a leaky toilet.
It's happened, and I don't really want many more vacations like that.
Yeah. So where have you sourced the properties and how have you financed them? Has it just been your own funding or?
Yeah. So we both just used like excess money that we had from our own businesses. Like, my husband's a plumber and a gas engineer.
Oh, perfect.
Which is great when we're doing renovations. Used our excess money to get us started. I used to have a really nice flashy car. I sold that and got, well, we'll call it the Beast.
It's beautiful, man. The van.
Oh, that's his van.
Oh, is it?
That's his van that you saw. Oh no, I've got like an 11-year-old Mini.
All right, okay.
And he keeps saying, when are you going to get a better car? I'm like, I'm not. I'm just going to stick with the Beast, as we call it for now.
Gratification.
We'll worry about that later, because for now, like, we want to build something big for the kids.
Yeah. And how involved do you get in the property stuff, the renovations and stuff like that? Do you get involved?
He calls me a blister. He says, you show up when the work's done. A little bit of like pulling stuff out and stuff, but I'm really the paperwork gal. The forms, the finance, that side of things. Full credit to Simon. He is very hands-on, does all the plumbing and heating, organises like the other trades. So
it's a perfect
it's
balance,
a perfect
then, really.
partnership.
Perfect team.
It really is. And I feel so lucky that we're both really into it and we both love it, and we've got like this sort of shared dream, and we're doing it together, because there's nobody else I'd want to do it with.
Superb. I love that. So how's your health and fitness sort of knowledge and background mindset helped you in building your property portfolio? Because it is, it's a stressful thing to do, build a property portfolio. People think it's easy, but it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when you take care of yourself, you naturally have a more positive mindset. So like, when you do come across bumps in the road, which inevitably you do in property, you're more like, okay, so that's a problem. What are we going to do about it? Like, where's the solution? Rather than being, oh my God, what we're going to do? We've made the wrong decisions. Why did we ever want to get in a property in the first place? You just have a better, more positive outlook. Like, what's the worst that can happen? There's always
more
a
logical
solution.
rather than emotional.
Yeah, and knowing that like there will be a good outcome. Mm-hmm. If you think about how you build your health and fitness, you don't get fit overnight. You've got to keep plugging away at it. You've got to keep working hard to get to where you want to be. And it's not always easy. You're not always up for every workout. Getting good results in the gym is hard work. You can transfer all of that across to property. Like, it is hard. Anyone that says it it isn't. It's definitely lying, especially in the early days, you know, you're taking your biggest risks and you haven't got like rents from other properties to fall back on, and like is all your own money.
Yeah.
It's quite scary and stressful, but if you've got a positive outlook and you know that you've got graft in you, you can see that there's going to be a positive outcome.
Yeah, for sure. So your business is doing very well. You've got a growing property portfolio. You're doing it with your partner, which is obviously the perfect scenario. You seem to have it all together. You seem very calm. You're very positive. Just sat with you here now just feels so positive. I want to go out and smash the world. Are you successful?
I think so. And I've always believed that success looks different for everybody. I think now, we talked a little bit about it earlier, social media tells us that success looks a certain way. It looks like a whopping mansion and a G-Wagon on the drive and like certain clothes and all of these certain things. But success looks different for everyone. For me, success is a happy, healthy family, a job that I enjoy, profitable business, and the freedom to go where I want, when I want. Like if I want to go on holiday tomorrow, I can go on holiday tomorrow. I absolutely love going to Tenerife and go there whenever I want. They were all my dreams, and I'm very, very fortunate and proud that I've achieved all of those things. They might not be somebody else's dreams, so somebody else might look at what I've got and say, oh, that's not success to me, but that's okay, because in my lane, those were the things that I always wanted out of life.
I think that's the most difficult thing, especially as you get a bit of success and your business starts making money. You start veering away at times from what you set out from day one to do and your dreams and your goals, because you see the flashy cars and the flashy houses and somebody else's wins.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, well, I've got the money to achieve what he or she's doing. Maybe I should be doing that. So it sounds like you are very disciplined in your thoughts on that, and you know you've stuck to your guns, regardless of how successful I get. This is my dream, and this is all I want, and so you sort of filter out the rest of it.
I'm very content in my own self.
I can tell.
And if you can work on that as a person, then it makes it easier to stick to what your aspirations are and what you think is successful. Like I'm just very happy with my lot. I live in a 4-bedroom semi in Sunderland. I've no thoughts about getting anything bigger. I like where I live. I'm happy with it. Just because I can get something better doesn't mean that I will. I could go and get a better car. I'm not bothered. I'll just drive around in the beast forever with its little bit of moss that grows in the windowsills.
But it's your moss.
But it's my moss.
Yeah.
And I'm just very happy in my own skin. And everything that I wanted, I've got.
Well done. I love that. Last question. If you could start all over again, is there anything you'd do differently?
We always say we wish we'd done property sooner.
Well, everyone says that, don't they?
But then Simon says that more than me, and I follow that up to him with like, yeah, but it wasn't the right time for us. Like, we had kids really young. It just wasn't the right time for us to take the risks that we're able to take. Like in our 30s, we couldn't have taken those risks. In our 20s, it was the right time for us.
Yeah, bang on. So I can see, just off this the short time spent with you, I can see why your business is doing so well, and I can see why so many people are working with you from a personal training perspective and a lifestyle coach. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Any social media platform. I'm on the lot. So if you search either Katie COOKE, which is my married name, or Katie Bulmer COOKE, which is the name that a lot of people know us by, you'll find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the usual places.
Brilliant. Katie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
If you are watching or listening online, please do give us a like and a follow. It really does help. Until next time, take care.